Good evening, and welcome to another Sunday night with the Zaki Flyer 66. And as you can see, well, I'm not exactly at PHNL. I'm on the CV-22, the Lexington. In this case, we're going to pretend it's the Saratoga, her sister's CV-3. And Pearl Harbor and Honolulu are over there. And we'll be taking off and flying over there here in just a minute. I gave PHNL as a starting airport for most folks because just in case they might not have the Lexington scenery installed. We're, of course, going to take out our Wildcats tonight, and we're going to do what the Navy does best and practice carrier landings. Hopefully, we won't embarrass ourselves too much. Now, I've cheated and pretended this is a non-moving static model carrier, so I've altered the winds so as if she was moving at 24 knots through the water, which gives us a wind speed of 25 knots. And salute to you, Colonel Ford. And when we get to where we're going to change the wind speed yet again to line up with the carrier decks of those static carriers. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to fly between, first off, we're going to fly between one carrier and another. Then we're going to try to land on it. And these aren't the big modern carriers. These are 30s and 40s carriers. Well, first things first, let's get in the cockpit here. You know, I have loaded a Garmin unit into mine because I'd have to be totally primitive. But first, we need to extend our wings here a little bit more. There it is. I'm going to want to open up my cowl flaps. Make sure my magnetos are on both. I just hope I don't have a dead battery here. Been sitting here for an hour while I did everything else. Mixture to rich. Go ahead and turn our gun sights on. Give ourselves a little bit of up trim. Let's see, make sure our fuel selector is on main. Let's go to our fueling, and we're just going to load our basic internal stores. We're going to load both of those center tanks, center 1 and 2. That's our main and reserve. Now we need to prime our engine. Okay, it's starting to stiffen up on the prime. There we go. We've given it a couple of pumps. Let's see if we can start our engine here. You'll notice that the wind is pushing our prop around. And there she goes. We didn't even need to put in our emergency fuel pump. I'm going to bring her up to about 1300 RPM there, so that it at least charging my battery. Turn on some lights. There we go. We're not going to load any bombs or external fuel tanks today. Excuse me, I'm wearing a different kind of shorts tonight. I tend to slide around in the chair. Ooh, we've got a Hellcat with us. How nice. The big brother. Let them taxi out of the way there. Okay, we're up to 34 hours in this beastie. Oops. Backed up just a touch too far. Kind of hard to park those things. Oh, that's Kapustik, okay. To recreate my wind conditions, you want 084 at anywhere between 18 and 20 knots. Hey, Viper Strike. How are you doing? Now I'm going to go ahead and release my chocks and try to launch. Make room for somebody else back here. Chocks released. Power coming in. Brakes. Nose up. And we're up in the air. Start winding up the gear. Tell it's a Wildcat when it starts bouncing up and down. Because it takes 29 hard cranks to get it into get the landing gear raised. Oh, Kapustik, you need to get a Wildcat. This is the best warbird in the game. The Hellcat's great. The Wildcat is better. It is windy up here. I've got about 10 gigs of scenery for Hawaii up here. Come on, weather. Hey, weather. Bit of down trim. Keep trying the weather here. Come on, weather. There it is. Okay, now I want the other carriers are lined up on 308. So we're going to switch the wind to 308 at 19 knots. 5. 309 will do. Winds are pushing us all over the shop up here. Acoustic got launched. Now we're turning more into the wind. Some down trim, please. Reduce my RPM and manifold pressure. The wind is bouncing us over pretty good. We managed to climb to 6,700 feet and didn't mean to. Bit more down trim. And seeing a Bonanza do these tricks might look pretty funny. One thing about being this high up, you can really see how beautiful the island of Oahu really is. There off our nose, you can see Diamond Head and the city of Honolulu. As we struggle with the headwinds and try to get our way over to the other carrier set, we need to come down in altitude. I'm going to lower the wind a little bit. There. That dropped the velocity just a little bit. We'll raise it back up a little bit to simulate carrier movement when we get on the other deck. We're going to start a relatively medium descent, about between 500 and 1,000 feet per minute. Off our right wing, we have PHNL itself. And the entrance and locks of Pearl Harbor. As you can see, they built one runway for PHNL. They built it. They brought in the soil and built it, basically a man-made island, the peninsula that the runway is on. Fluff in my vision. Let's see, a piece of music that I hope will be familiar to some since we're here. Okay, we've turned too far. A little bit more right rudder trim. Okay, there's John Rogers, which is the old Marine base at Iwa. We can see where we're going off in the distance. Okay, we're going ahead and pull that cable, which extends our tail hook. And we're going to start slowing down. Okay, when we get here, we're going to have a choice. We've got a nice big Essex class, or we've got or somewhere in between the Lexington we just took off from and an Essex. Got the USS Hornet, a Yorktown class But oh, I'm just glad you've gotten home safe, Colonel Fork. I hope it was a really good event. Okay, we're coming up on the Essex. If we can't slow down enough and get the gear down fast enough, here comes the gear. Oh, we're going to go for the Yorktown instead. But yeah, we have an Essex class to land on. There's even a Casablanca class if you like escort carriers. There are flaps coming out. All right. And track. Just short of the Devastator, too. Okay, we'll want to retract our hook. And steer ourselves over a little bit. Get lined up here. Yeah, this is what the Hornet looks like. This is pretty much her 1942 camo and paint scheme. And we've got on deck, we've got a Devastator with its wings folded. And a Corsair up here. Okay, now we need to alter our winds. 5 knots isn't enough. We're going to call it 305. And we're going to go with, how about 16 knots? No gusts today. We want that from the same direction, or approximately. Okay, now the test. Let's sit up in our seat so we can kind of see over the nose. At this point, Colonel Fork, in my life, I'll take a rainy, cold, miserable day of an event and be happy to go. I can always oil my swords and knock the rust off later. Set chocks. Okay, that's 1200, that's 1000 RPM. We want about 22. $1,800, 2,000, 22. Release the brakes. Needle of the nose comes up, or tail comes up, and full throttle. Start racing landing gear. Raise the flaps and start our pattern. This time we'll go down a little long. We'll try to land on the Essex class. That I can understand, Colonel Ford. I don't blame you for trying to play it safe. Your health is more important than any kind of enjoyment or fulfillment. I'm just glad you got to go. A bit more down trim, please. Start our slow down in our turn as we cross the coast here. That's a very rich housing area. Ooh, we are way high. We're going to come up here, cross the deck, and we're going to come around again. There's a helipad on the back of that battle wagon. Okay, there's under 150 knots. Start winding down the gear. All right, we'll come around here, make a close pass at this housing development again. right at about 900 feet, which is a good flight altitude for making an approach. Don't stall it. Add some power in. And flaps. And line up on your carrier. At about 600 feet here. The carrier deck is about 90 feet. Try to put the carrier deck right at the bottom of your gun sight. Stay right at about 100 knots. Okay. And here we go. Not a good time for a stutter. Chop the throttle. And the wires will pull you back a little bit. See, we're well into the landing area. Here are the wires that extend across the deck. So we retract our tail hook. And take a look at the Essex class here. Now, some of my carrier scenery makes the wires do a funny dance. But we can see what's on the flight deck here. We've got a Hellcat on the side elevator over here. And a couple of Corsairs sitting in their parking positions on the forward part of the flight deck. And of course, behind the anti-aircraft dual-purpose 5-inchers is a Grumman TBF Avenger. It's painted in middle 43 tricolor, although the tail paint is technically a bit too early for that aircraft paint scheme. That's great to hear, Viper Strike. You've really done well in your DC-3 adventure. Well, while we're sitting here on the deck, let's grab some gas. Just needed it. We hadn't used that much. Just a little top off of a couple of gallons. Okay, get our flaps coming up here. Now we're going to go ahead and go around the island a little bit, because This is one spectacular place to visit and to look at. Okay, chocks on. Get chocks are set. Get my butt situated where I want to sit in the cockpit. Sitting on my parachute. Start bringing up our RPMs. Coming up on 2,000. $2,200. 2,300. Pulled chocks. And up we go. Gear coming up. Manifold pressure coming back to 35 inches. We'll go around the Hornet here and head back to Pearl. Here's a Pensacola class cruiser. To go with the battleship here. Getting a little bit of stutterage. Of course, that's the scenery doing most of that. These hotels and resorts are really beautiful to look at. For Hawaii's got so much construction going on. Such beautiful resorts, and then within a few hundred yards, we have an oil refinery. Some heavy industrialized areas. Of course, we passed over John Rogers, the old Marine base at Ewa. Its photogrammetry doesn't quite cut it. Somebody else in a Wildcat up here. get up here to a real frame killer. We'll fly over Pearl Harbor itself. Then we'll head up towards Wheeler. There's a 310 on final. Plenty of airliner traffic. There's Kapustik over the harbor. So maybe in 2024, all these boats will move. Flying over Sink Pack headquarters and the 1010 dock. There. They've got carrier moorings where the old sub base used to be. Let's circle around and see. There it is. There's the stadium of the home of the Rainbow Warriors. Hiccup. A big golf course. Well, if we took off from the Sarah, that would have to be the Lex down there. I want to get a closer look at the stadium if we can. University of Hawaii isn't playing. Of course, it's Sunday night, not Saturday night. Okay, now we'll fly on up towards Wheeler Field. One thing that on manual, the one thing the Wildcat does is keep you from pushing buttons by accident. You can't reach them. And from watching a video from one of my one of my favorite podcasts about Pacific history, one thing they've showed us is that the O Club on Ford Island, where the party took place before December 7th, still exists. You can fly with a Skapustik. Just aim for the Bonanza. Even if you had the Wildcat, you'd have to get the John Thatch livery for it. Flying over Wheeler Field now. Uh-huh. Yeah, I understand that. I had it happen to me a couple of times during Allison's stream yesterday. Flying 1 minute and seeing everybody there, and the next minute they're all gone. Up here along the north shore of Hawaii, we'll be headed toward what was historically Haleiwa Airfield. Which has since been paved and modernized into Willingham, I believe. Let's see, for Wheeler, the ICAO is PHHI. Papa Hotel India. And where we're going up here is Dillingham Airfield, Papa Hotel Delta Hotel. Can't go wrong with any Glenn Miller. Okay, from here in Dillingham, we're going to basically do a 180 here. Go out over the coast and head up toward the north shore of Hawaii, home of the really big waves. Yes, I do have the GBR3. think I've got all 3 of the GB versions that are in the sim. It's really fun to fly the GBZ Z. Now, let's see. I'll get to that in just a second. Let's try it now. We'll just go ahead and accept. And resume. Doesn't often happen, but when it does, grab it. From Glen, we're going to a little bit of different tunage. Something unique to the Wildcat. I love flying past this part of the coast. Because this is the turn where things start to get not only interesting, but really pretty. We'd meant to do just 3 or 4 carrier traps and ended up taking a tour of Hawaii. It's just too pretty not to. Messing with my trim a little bit. I don't think she'll stay still in this kind of wind conditions, but we can try. This is where you're reminded that the true volcanic nature of this island. There he is. See if I can grab the mouse quick enough. Something we both can do. That's good flying. Yeah, gotta love our servers. That's good to see a boat having fun. Off to our right-hand side is one of the Oahu National Parks. Up on that green mountain range. Yay, Hawaii, and we're going to load as much scenery as we can. Stutters. There's one of the current Marine bases. We keep going this direction, we'll find the remains of what used to be Bellows Field. All this greening, and then they have a random cloud caught in a satellite image. At 200 knots, you can actually cover some ground and see a goodly portion of this island. Excellent. Wicked. Look at those beaches. Now we're going to zip across this peninsula. Goodness. As we head down toward the point. Double check my map here. Yeah, we've already passed Bellows. But you can see a nice marina here. We'll do a McGarrett style flyby. We'll check out Diamond Head, see what's left in the crater. It'd be fun if they cause splashes. Need to climb a little bit to get over the hill here at Diamond Head. Here you can see the Lexington out there, or in this case for us it's the Saratoga today. Now we're aimed at Waikiki Beach. There's the famous Hollywood Bowl. Okay, let's see if we can see the Royal Hawaiian. We may have passed it. The pink hotel back there may have been the Royal Hawaiian. The photogrammetry is fighting with the scenery. This, of course, has us back to PHNL Honolulu Airport. We've got all kinds of airliner traffic on the runway and at the terminal. Okay, we're going to head back to the Hornet. We're going to make one more trap on the Hornet, and we're going to call it a night. Uh-oh, a frigate. That helipad on her back deck's awful low to the water. Moving my feet around on the rudder pedal, starting to get a crease in one of my feet. Okay, we're going to start throttling back now. Under 20 manifold pressure. And here we come up on our last trap for the night. Down a few more manifold pressure inches. Carrier's in sight. Tail hook out. Gear down. Gear coming down. I'm going to go ahead and give it some flat. We'll try for the Essex. If the stutters don't kill us, okay, got to concentrate on this. Passing the Catalina. Start cutting your throttles. And trap. Release tail hook. Let's go ahead and fold our wings. Goodness. Get our flaps up. Wings won't fold with your flaps down. Now they're folding. Because it's a mechanical fold, you don't really need power to do it. Let's see if I can maneuver on the flight deck without falling into the ocean. All right. Now we've moved to the side. The next person to land is cleared to land. That about does it for tonight. We hope everybody enjoyed a little bit of carrier trapping and a quick tour of Oahu. So let's see if we can push some buttons here. Let's kill that and get that out of the way. And let's see if we can push these other buttons and see if there's anybody on to raid. Well, folks, let's go visit Conti down under. Well, I hope everybody had a good time, and good night, everybody. Thank you. I sure had a fun time, especially flying with everybody. Enjoy the raid.